Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about what a single band wireless repeater or range extender is and how it works. And then we're going to actually install one of their best selling ones on Amazon, which is a TP-Link TL-WA855RE, and see what exactly is what. So let's begin. So let's say this is my house and this is my wireless router. Obviously, as you can see, the wireless network cannot cover my whole house. So what do you think I should do? There are in fact different solutions that I can use to somehow extend the range of my wireless network. And one of them is by using a wireless repeater or a wireless range extender, which we're gonna simply call it a repeater. Now, one type of a repeater that we're gonna talk about it today is kind of old, but it is still sold. Used today, and it is actually the single band repeater. The name is the recipe. It only has one frequency band, one radio, which is the 2.4 GHz band. Basically, what's gonna happen here is that the repeater is going to connect to the 2.4 GHz wireless network of the primary wireless router. And in order for that to happen successfully, it has to be inside the coverage area of the primary router, and it cannot be outside of that. Then it is going to rebroadcast the primary router's wireless network to extend the range of it. And again, in order for that to happen successfully, it shouldn't be too close to the primary router either. Not too far, not too close. Also, as you probably have noticed, there is no need to run a cable between these two devices, which I believe is the biggest advantage of using a repeater. I mean, I can easily extend the range of my Wi-Fi without the trouble of running a cable. In fact, if there is a cable connecting these two devices, this is no longer a repeater. As far as the wireless network of the repeater, normally I should have the option to decide whether I want to give it the same name and password as the primary wireless router or maybe something different. And of course, each one has its own use case. As far as the wireless channels, each wireless router, access point or repeater can only use one channel for each radio at the same time. So what exactly does that mean? It actually means, for example, if the primary wireless router is broadcasting on channel 1 and the repeater, which is single band, is connected to that, it can only rebroadcast the wireless network on the same channel as the primary wireless router. It's not perfect, but unfortunately that's how it is. Now, just combine that with the half-duplex nature of wireless communication, which means only one device can transmit at a time. For example, this client is connected to this wireless router. It cannot send and receive at the same time. It can send and then receive, just the same way we talk on a walkie-talkie. Now if we move the client and connect it to the repeater, all of its transmissions must be sent twice now. Why? Because once from the client to the repeater and once from the repeater to the wireless router. This will actually decrease the speed by at least 50% and increase the latency as well. All of that plus the fact that the 2.4 GHz wireless network itself is usually not very fast and reliable, especially in the crowded environments like the cities where there are many of them nearby. It actually tells me that I shouldn't necessarily expect a super fast and reliable connection here. Therefore, I shouldn't use it for that purpose. I guess based on what I just said, I better not use this for the clients that need to transfer huge files or stream high quality videos, maybe 4K videos, or even play online games. Alright, I won't. Now let's open the box and see what's inside. Well, as you can see inside we have some paperwork and the repeater itself, that's it. The repeater with its two external antennas looks rather interesting. There is a WPS button, a signal LED light, and a power LED light here, a 100 megabits per second Ethernet port, and a reset button here. There are 3 different methods that I can use to set up the repeater and connect it to the wireless router. Number 1, which is the easiest, is actually by using WPS. This way the repeater's Wi-Fi name would be the primary router's Wi-Fi name plus _ext at the end. The password is going to be exactly the same though. Now I can relocate the repeater and put it in the right place. Method number 2 is by using a mobile device and also the TP-Link Tether app. Method number 3 is by using a computer and a browser, which is actually what I personally prefer, and I'm going to show this method as well. Now I can open a browser and type in the default IP address of the repeater. After choosing a password for the repeater's user interface, I'm gonna find the wireless network of the wireless router here and then enter its password so the repeater can actually connect to it. Next, I will choose a name for the repeater's wireless network, and unlike in method 1, I can actually change it from the default one to something else, which I'm gonna do it. But as far as the password, unfortunately I cannot change it and it automatically copies the wireless router's password. Okay, so I'm pretty much done at this point. I just need to relocate the repeater and put it in its right place. It is now broadcasting the new SSID, new wireless network, and I'm gonna connect to it. I just need to keep in mind that it is very much likely that the repeater has now received a new IP address from the wireless router, especially if they're on different subnets, which in my case they are, and this is the new IP address. So in order to log into the user interface of the repeater, I should use the new IP address, and if I don't know what it is, I can use this URL as well. One of the first things I would do when I log into the repeater, of course after making sure the internet is connected, also the repeater is connected to the wireless router with no problem, is to give a static IP address to the repeater. This way the IP address is not gonna change from time to time and I know exactly what it is. For example, I'm gonna give it this IP address. So the repeater is installed and I've been using it for a couple of days now, but just a few points that I haven't talked about yet. Number 1, the 100 megabits per second Ethernet port, which I can use it to connect a wired client, maybe a desktop computer, to the network, which is good. But I can also use it to connect the repeater with an Ethernet cable to the wireless router. And if you remember, in that case, this is no longer a repeater, and in fact, it is an access point. So that basically means I can change its operation mode and use it as an access point too, which is good. Number 2, the repeater also has a DHCP server which can provide IP addresses for the clients. But it doesn't make any sense to enable it because my wireless router already has a DHCP server and it's been working fine. And I don't want 2 DHCP servers in my network. Number 3, there is actually an option to change the coverage level of the repeater, which I guess is changing the transmit power, which is good to know and might come in handy one day. I also did a little bit of testing, nothing too crazy. I actually compared the speed and signal strength of the TP-Link repeater with an ASUS AC68U in repeater mode, and while connected to the primary router using the 2.4 GHz network, also rebroadcasting the 2.4 GHz network. I also checked the RSSI of both of them in 3 different places of my house. Well, as you can see, the RSSI was a little stronger for the ASUS in every single place. Not too much though.